Okay, so what do you do with those pesky thoughts that are traveling around in your mind at any given moment? Those thoughts that say, I don't want to do this, I'm too tired to do this, or any of those excuses that your brain can come up with. So I talk often about this concept called expansion. It's actually making room for those negative thoughts, unproductive thoughts, random thoughts, inappropriate thoughts. But I often hear people say, well, what does that mean? Give me an example of what it means to make room for these thoughts. So I had an example over the weekend. I wanted to share this with you. So right now, one of my value-based goals is fitness. That is something that's very important to me because I want to be healthy. I want to be around so that I can see my kids have kids and my kids' kids have kids. And so I really value fitness. So I have this goal of exercise on a daily basis. And I also have a very value-based goal of connection with my wife, connection with my kids. So I come home one day this past week and my wife had not exercised in the morning. I had not had a chance to go out on a run, so we're gonna go out on a run. And we run together and it was amazing, and we go a couple of extra miles than we normally do. And so we get home, it's about 9 or 9:30, and I'm kind of beat. I had a long day of seeing clients in the office. I had scheduled no breaks in. I hadn't really eaten a lot, and I had to get up the next morning, and I think I had an early podcast recording at 5 the next morning. So now I also had a goal of doing my Peloton bike every day because I'm really enjoying it, and it really pushes me. So I just had set this goal of doing the Peloton every day that I could, every day that I'm not out of town. So there's my goal. So I get back from this run, and I'm exhausted. And I want to do the Peloton bike. But my brain immediately says, yeah, but you just ran 7 miles. And so that's a thought. Do I need to act on it? What do I do with that? I don't want to push it away, because if I say, okay, I shouldn't even be thinking that right now. I should be getting on my bike and I should be following through on this goal of doing the Peloton every day. And first of all, nobody likes to be shit on, not even our own brains. So I acknowledge that thought. Hey, you just ran 7 miles. Now here's the cool thing about expansion. I'm making room for that thought. I'm not saying, oh, what's wrong with me for thinking that? Here I've got this goal of doing the Peloton every day, and my own brain is telling me, you already ran. So I acknowledge the thought. Hey, thanks, brain. I did just run 7 miles. I appreciate that. As a matter of fact, I'm not even arguing. Did I run 7 miles? Did I not run 7 miles? But that's not a productive thought toward my goal. So I am making room for that thought. And now as I start putting on my padded bike shorts, then my brain says, you haven't eaten a lot all day. You maybe you don't really have the energy you need. And here we go. I think my brain, that is a very good point. Actually, I might just have a quick snack. So, there's some of those thoughts that we can address and almost deal with or eliminate. So then my brain got really tricky. And as I'm going down to the Peloton, then I just flat out say, I don't want to do this. And so there is nothing wrong with that thought. I'm having all kinds of thoughts. Why am I going to give that one a particular amount of charge or energy? So again, I think my brain, and I say, I'm not even arguing if that's a true or false statement. Do I want to do it? Do I not want to do it? Because that's not a productive thought to my value-based goal of going and doing the Peloton. So what I did was then I'm able to invite all of those thoughts to come along with me while we get on the Peloton. And your brain doesn't give up there. As I'm even getting on the Peloton bike, my brain's saying, this is probably going to be one of your worst rides. Again, thank you, brain. Maybe. But that is not the point. It's not a workable or productive thought toward this goal. And my wife even said, man, I thought you were tired. And I said, I've invited all of my thoughts and feelings to come along with me on this ride. And maybe that's one of those parts of being married to a therapist where she just thought, okay, I don't really understand what's going on there, but you do you. And then I don't wish. But I feel like this is one of those moments where you often hear, and then I went on to set a personal record, and I became a professional cyclist and won the Tour de France. But no, I actually had a pretty crummy ride. It was one of my worst rides from a number standpoint, but I wasn't even arguing that. That wasn't a productive thought because I reached my value-based goal of doing the Peloton. So I just wanted to give that example as something tangible of what you do or how you invite your thoughts along with you. So because you have the thoughts, feelings, emotions you do because you're human, because you're the only version of you that exists. So when people tell you, well, you shouldn't have done the Peloton. You should have done this. You should have done that. We immediately have this pushback, this psychological reactance, or that instant negative reaction of being told what to do. And you might even be having that now. You might, because if your private experiences, if your experiences up to this point in your life have not put you in a spot where you want to run and do a Peloton in the same day, then that's okay. But that was my experience of this was my value-based goal. And so learning how to acknowledge, recognize a thought, appreciate the thought, thank my brain for the thought, thank you for looking out for me, and then inviting all of those thoughts to come along with you. That same concept happens when people are feeling incredibly down or feeling incredibly anxious. Is one of the best things you can do is acknowledge the down feelings or the sadness, or acknowledge the anxiety, and try to get yourself grounded or centered, and then invite those feelings, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, whether it's I just don't want to do it, to come along with you and move toward a value-based goal, whether it's serving someone, whether it's going out and gardening, whether it's going and petting a dog, whether it's interacting with one of your kids, whatever that is, knowing that that is something that is important to you, you'll watch at times as your own brain will try to say, I don't want to do it. And so there's some power in saying, I hear you. And I'm not even arguing if you want to do it or not want to do it. I appreciate that thought, but it's not a real productive thought right now. So that is an overview of expansion. I highly encourage you to give it a shot. I've done a few podcast episodes on it on my Virtual Couch podcast, and I would love to get your feedback.